Mel Washington is a singer-songwriter who mostly plays folk and country music. In fact, he's been playing music since the age of 18. He's also played at venues in the United States, Australia, and Europe. He tells me what he's working on right now for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Mel Washington, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. Needless to say, you are a singer and songwriter, mostly folk and country, if I'm not mistaken, since you've been 18 years old. And I know you actually have played in venues across the United States, Australia, and Europe. So tell me, Mr. Mel, what's new, what's now with your music today?
We're writing a lot. We just put a new album out last November called Feast or Famine. And I've been writing some new material, and you should be seeing some singles coming down. We put out a new music video not too long ago for one of the songs from Feast or Famine called Mad Love, directed by Kari Levy, shot here in South Carolina. A great crew of people, and it's worth checking out.
Wow, yes, indeed, absolutely. So, Mr. Mel, let me ask you, what got you from the record to now producing more singles?
Singles are kind of my way of testing the waters with album material. So we'll just put some feelers out, give some tastes, and then gauge feedback from there.
Well, that's my next question for you. How are your listeners able to increase their intuition and self-awareness through your music?
Yeah, it's a matter of following. I anytime I write a new song, if I feel like it might have album potential, I'll play it out at shows and just get some feedback that way. And typically, if there's one that really lands well, I'll know because people will ask, "When will I be able to hear that? Is that online somewhere?" And so that's always helpful.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask you this, Mr. Mel. What's your intuition and self-awareness about music today?
Um, I really feel like there is there's some really cool things that are happening, especially in the country space and in the folk space, the Americana space. Um, there's kind of a returning to a returning of an awareness to um, uh, the black artists and their influence on those genres of music from the beginning and up until now. And so I'm happy to be a part of that. I'm a part of something called the Black Opera Review, where we kind of shine a light on that, and we introduce um, you know folks to uh, the the people of color who are currently creating music, country, Americana, and folk music, and then also we're shining a light to young um, country, Americana, and folk artists of color to let them know that there is room for them at the table. So it's a really cool thing. I love where that's going. I think um, outside of that, on a larger scale in music, you're seeing a lot more collaboration, which is probably the best way to make music. So it's a really good time to be a musician, especially a musician of color.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
sorry, my cats are running
Oh,
around.
no worries about that.
Um,
We love the animals.
yeah.
So, Mr. Mel, with those new artists that are coming into that particular space when it comes to music, when it comes to country and Americana, which one of those artists that you want to collaborate with your music?
Oh, every one of them. There isn't one that I don't want to. I think on a large scale, I would love to collab with Brittany Spencer with the War and Treaty.
Yes.
Um, um, Kane Brown would be a lot of fun to work with as well. So, um, yeah, I would love all of that.
Yes, I keep up with War and Treaty a lot, and obviously they're a household name in country and Nashville and beyond. But
Yeah.
so let me ask you this: which one of those artists, new artists, relates to your music?
I think the War and Treaty is probably the closest to how I go about crafting songs, and um, you know, my music isn't all that commercial. It's a little left of center, and I feel like they're living in that same vein.
Mm. So, how do you go exactly about crafting your music, Mr. Mel?
Um, it's really about what inspires me, and normally what inspires me is just real life. I'll typically, be having a conversation, or I'll overhear a conversation, and I'll hear somebody say something, and I write it down. There's an old adage that says, "Be careful what you say around a songwriter because it might end up in a song." So um, that's typically how it starts, and then it's to the writing room and really honing in on how do you tell a story, how do you paint a picture, how do you have a conversation, um, and uh, you know, uh, what does it smell like, taste like, look like, feel like,
Right. Right.
sound like?
Exactly right.
Um, yeah.
So, how do you tell your story with your music, Mr. Mel?
I mean, it really is. I mean, it's just like that. It's a matter of making sure that you're giving the character in the song enough skin
Mm.
and humanity, um, and finding out what the emotion. For me, it's finding out what the emotion is first, and then second of all, finding the best way to say it for that song, whatever that happens to be.
This might be a silly question, but what's that balance when you're trying to approach that?
Um, it's really just more of awareness. Like
Mm.
running through,
Yes.
run lyrics through. Am I being honest? Did I say that the best way? That it's just asking those questions about every line.
Wow. Wow. So, and when it comes to lyrics, Mr. Mel, how has that changed from your perspective?
Um, for me, it's just I've gotten the opportunity to be in the room with some really great songwriters. When I first started co-writing songs, I would just write with anybody who was willing to write. Um, and now I'm really grateful that I've gotten to a place where I'm writing with hit songwriters. And at first, that's intimidating, because you wonder if you're good enough. But uh, you know, I really just try to make it a classroom for me, and so I'm getting to learn um, from the best. And um, I think when it comes to asking the question, is did I say that the best? I'm learning to make that my best better every time. So
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. You talk about the classroom, Mr. Mel, with obviously learning from these heavy hitters in the music world. What resources are you bringing to that classroom?
Well, my experience, you know what I mean. I'm bringing experience, perspective, and I don't mean experience as a songwriter. I mean my life experience,
Right.
um, and and sometimes that's what you need to start a good song is somebody went through this and it made them feel this, and they wrote this down on their phone, and it's like, oh, that's a great lyric. Let's go, and you jump off and you have a great song after that. So
Which
and
one
I
of
hope that I'm bringing some. I hope that I'm bringing some talent
Yes,
in
sir.
terms of songwriting.
Yes, sir.
Um, and you know, people call me back, so I think they at least enjoy the experience half the time.
You're one of the best. But let me ask you
Oh, thank
this:
you.
this. Oh yeah, man, you're welcome. Absolutely. And I wonder too, Mr. Mel, when you talk about those songs, which one of your songs actually resembles you?
Oh, every one of them. Yeah, 100% of them is me in a nutshell. When you're listening to my songs on an album, that's my journal glorified. Um, so if you've heard a Mel Washington song, you've had a conversation with me already. You
Already.
know.
What other conversations do you want to have with your music and with your audience in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh man. I don't even know if there's a specific one. I always try to. I used to write songs that always had to have like some message of hope at the end. Um, and now I just write songs that are honest and feel genuine.
Yes.
Um, Even if those songs don't have hope, I mean, there are moments in life where we just don't have hope. We don't or feel like we don't. And I think it's okay to be honest about that. Um, you know, I think it's okay to talk about pain and suffering and joy and fun and all of that, and just be real about it. And so I think if there's a word, it would just be authenticity. You know,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
yeah.
And Mr. Mel, there's a lot going on in the world today. How can you be honest with those issues in with your music?
Well, it's like we have this song that I wrote with my buddy Wyatt Durrett. It's called "Love Wins." There's a great video for it on YouTube. CMT hosted when it first came out. Um, and this was right after the George Floyd incident, and we just sat down and we said we need to look at each other and talk about our differences and realize that we're probably feeling a lot of the same things, but just through different lenses. Um, and so, again, I think the way to address these issues is to encourage conversations. Um, it's the social and political climate that we live in right now doesn't really allow for a lot of conversations. We're more making statements. This is how I feel about this, and if you don't, then I'll block you. Um, and we don't. I don't think that we've really um, invited people to have conversations and say we might not agree on things, and that's okay. We don't have to agree, but we do have to coexist. And so, if there's anything that I can encourage through music, it would be to encourage people to have those conversations, to look at different perspectives. Excuse me, without getting too preachy, you know, because nobody likes to be preached at. I think most people would much rather be interested in just hearing how different your opinion is, and then they can give theirs and leave it at that.
From a generalization standpoint, Mr. Mel, when it comes to music, how do you look at music in different lenses?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, I think it's the same as the conversations.
Mm,
You figure out that people have different expressions, and so it's the reason that you know no matter who you are, you can go to a party, and if somebody puts on a Biggie song, everybody's going to start dancing. Everybody, because everybody understands that that's one person's experience. Music, different kinds of music can be enjoyed by different kinds of people for that reason. Um, when somebody has put their authentic self out, I think you can feel it, and it translates beyond cultures and age and whatnot. You know, truth is truth, and I think that it permeates anything.
and how has your music changed your audience, Mr. Mel?
Well, the feedback that I get is all I can tell you, and it's a matter of most what I hear back is that people are given hope when they needed hope. They were given a good cry when they need a good cry. Um, some of my songs, I'll put a little tongue in cheek thing in it. I think a really good entertainer is somebody who makes you laugh, who makes you cry, and who makes you think. And I hope to do that at every show, and I hope to do it through every album. Um, but at the end of the day, I hope that you 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 left the listening experience or the show experience better than I found you. So um, that's my hope, and I that's what people are saying back to me. So I guess it's working.
Yes, sir. It is. It really is. Well, singer and songwriter Mel Washington, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close Ups.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it greatly.